I thought saving $100,000 would make me feel free. Instead, it made me start thinking like someone who was about to go into debt for 30 years. And that's when I realized something uncomfortable. Maybe the problem was never how much I saved, but what I was being trained to do with it. Because the moment I saved my first $100,000, something strange happened. I stopped thinking like a saver and started thinking like a buyer. Suddenly, normal houses looked small. Simple apartments felt embarrassing, and the homes I once considered ridiculously expensive started feeling reasonable. Not because I became rich, but because something changed in how I saw money. The system didn't increase my income. It changed my perception of what money is for. Because in modern society, saving money is no longer the final goal. Spending it is. And nowhere is that more dangerous than housing. Because what most people call a dream home is often a 30-year financial obligation disguised as success. And here's the first thing people never question. Why does owning a house feel like success, even when it reduces freedom? For decades, buying a house was the ultimate milestone. Parents wanted it. Society rewarded it. Banks promoted it. Entire economies depended on it. A house wasn't just shelter. It became identity, proof you made it. But something quietly shifted. Today, people earn more than previous generations, yet feel less free than ever. High-income workers live paycheck to paycheck. Families earning well still feel pressure. Every month, homeowners sit in luxury houses, but carry invisible stress for decades. So the question is not just why houses are expensive. The real question is why intelligent people accept massive debt for it. Because the housing market is no longer just a market. It is a psychological system. And this is where everything begins to shift. Saving your first $100,000 doesn't just change your account. It changes your identity. For years, money feels slow, fragile, difficult. You sacrifice everything to build it. Then suddenly, you reach six figures, and it feels like you've entered a new level of life. But that feeling doesn't last. Because modern financial culture quietly rewires your thinking. Cash equals inactive. Savings equals wasted. Equity equals progress. Debt equals normal. And slowly, one idea takes over everything. Real estate. Because psychologically, housing feels different. Cars lose value. Clothes fade. Technology becomes outdated. But a house feels permanent. Stable. Safe. Respectable. And that's exactly why people accept financial decisions they would never accept elsewhere. A 30-year debt for anything else would feel insane. But for a house, it feels responsible. That is not logic. That is normalization. And once debt becomes normal, people stop thinking about total costs. They think only about monthly payments. And that is where the system becomes powerful. Banks don't ask, can you afford the full house? They ask, can you handle the monthly payment? And that single shift changes everything. Because suddenly, $1 million home stops feeling impossible and becomes just a few thousand a month. But this way of thinking hides decades of reality. And slowly, people become long-term financial engines for the system. Not through force, through aspiration. Because nobody buys a house just for walls. They buy what it represents. Success. Security. Status. Arrival. That is why real estate marketing never focuses on debt. It focuses on dreams. And slowly a loop forms. People stop asking what gives freedom and start asking what looks successful. But here's the contradiction most people miss. If this system is so heavy, why do people still choose it? Because a house is not only pressure. It is also safety. In a world where rent raises every year, where inflation eats savings, where uncertainty is constant, owning a home feels like control. Even if it comes with decades of debt. So people are not simply choosing debt over freedom. They are choosing stability over uncertainty. and that makes the system powerful from both sides. But here's where it gets heavier, because once people enter the system, costs don't stay fixed. They grow silently. Taxes, insurance, maintenance, repairs, interest over decades. And the bigger the house, the more life starts revolving around it. Slowly, the house stops being a goal. And becomes a responsibility. Machine. And that changes behavior. People stop taking risks. They avoid career changes. They delay ambition. They stay in jobs they don't like. Not because they lack courage, but because stability now has a monthly price. This is where the house stops feeling like an asset. And starts feeling like pressure. But strangely, it still feels like success. That is the contradiction, because the system rewards visibility more than freedom. A big house is seen. Debt is hidden. That distortion changes everything. Even high earners feel it, not because they are failing, but because success itself became expensive to maintain. A high income no longer means freedom. It often means higher obligation. And once your lifestyle depends on constant income, you are no longer free. You are locked into maintenance. Over time, housing stopped being shelter. It became a financial product, which means prices no longer reflect living needs. They reflect fear, competition, and scarcity. People don't buy homes because they need space. They buy because they fear being left behind. And fear is one of the strongest economic forces. But here's the most important truth. Expensive does not mean wealthy. And ownership does not mean freedom. Because someone living in a big house with constant pressure has less control than someone living simply with flexibility. Real wealth is not what you show. It is what you don't depend on. And the system quietly hides this difference because it rewards escalation. Bigger house. Better area. Higher status. The target always moves. And even after saving $100,000, the same psychology returns. Upgrade. Stretch. Commit. Repeat. Not because people are irrational, but because the system is designed around aspiration, not satisfaction. So when I finally saved my first $100,000, I thought the next step was obvious. Buy a bigger house. Upgrade my life. Prove success. But I miss something. The system was never rewarding ownership. It was rewarding obligation. Because the most successful person in this system is not the one who owns the most. It is the one who must keep earning the most just to maintain what they already have. And that is the quiet truth nobody notices. You don't feel trapped because everyone around you calls it success.